First contact and deception. The research vessel Hawking's Dream hung motionless against the backdrop of an ancient alien structure, its sleek hull reflecting the dim light of a distant red dwarf star. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the massive crystalline archive that stretched before them like a frozen constellation. "Initial scans complete, Doctor," announced Lieutenant James Rodriguez from his station. "The structure appears to be approximately 12,000 years old, but it's still drawing power from somewhere. And there's something else." He paused, frowning at his displays. "The energy signature doesn't match anything in our database." Sarah nodded, trying to contain her excitement. After 15 years of searching for proof of advanced alien civilizations, they'd finally found something remarkable. The archive was their first major discovery since humanity began its expansion into deep space 30 years ago. "Any response to our greeting packages?" she asked, turning to Communications Officer Maya Patel. "Nothing direct," Maya replied, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "But there's definitely data streaming from the structure. Dr. Stevens is working on decoding it now." In the adjacent lab, Dr. Thomas Stevens hunched over his quantum computer, his silver hair reflecting the blue glow of multiple screens. The archaeological AI they'd brought along was processing the alien data streams faster than any human could, but something about the patterns bothered him. "Sarah," he called out, "you need to see this." His voice carried an edge that made everyone on the bridge tense up. Before Sarah could respond, the archive suddenly blazed with light. Streams of energy coursed through its crystalline structure, forming patterns that pulsed with an almost organic rhythm. "Multiple ships dropping out of FTL," Rodriguez shouted. 7. No, 9 vessels. Configuration unknown. The alien ships emerged like predators from the void, their hulls covered in what appeared to be living metal that shifted and flowed like liquid mercury. They moved with impossible grace, quickly surrounding the Hawking's Dream. "This is Captain Elena Santos." A stern voice came over the ship's comm. "All hands to emergency stations. Dr. Chen, get your team's data backed up. Now." A transmission cut through their communications, resolving into a holographic image of a humanoid figure. Its skin was pale silver, with geometric patterns that glowed with internal light. When it spoke, its voice was melodious, but carried undertones that made Sarah's skin crawl. "Greetings, humans of the Hawking's Dream. I am Curator Vexthor of the Nexeri Collective. We've been watching your species with great interest. Your discovery of our archive is not by chance. We led you here." Captain Santos stepped forward, her dark features set in a diplomatic smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Curator Vexthor, we're honored to make first contact. Though I must admit, your method of introduction is rather dramatic." The Nexeri's patterns pulsed with what might have been amusement. "A necessary precaution. Your species has shown remarkable technological advancement in a very short time. We needed to ensure we could contain the situation if necessary." Dr. Stevens' voice came through on a private channel to Sarah's neural link. "The data patterns, they're not archive records. They're weapons signatures, thousands of them. This isn't a library, it's an arsenal." Sarah kept her expression neutral as her mind raced. The Nexeri had laid a trap, using humanity's scientific curiosity against them. But why? What could they want from a species they supposedly saw as primitive? "We have much to share with humanity," Vexthor continued. "But first, we require a demonstration of your FTL technology. Our scans indicate some rather unique properties we find fascinating." Captain Santos's smile remained fixed, but her hand moved slightly closer to the emergency protocols panel. "I'm afraid that would violate several Earth Union protocols regarding classified technology." The Nexeri ships suddenly powered up their weapons arrays, their liquid metal hulls forming what were unmistakably gun ports. "Captain Santos," Vexthor's voice lost its melodious quality, becoming sharp as broken glass. "I don't believe you understand. This isn't a request." In the tense silence that followed, Sarah noticed something about the Nexeri ship's energy signatures. Their weapons might be impressive, but their shield harmonics. They were built to deflect energy weapons, not the experimental kinetic mass drivers Earth had recently developed. She opened a secure channel to Captain Santos. "Captain, their shields have a weakness, but we'll need help to exploit it." Santos gave an imperceptible nod. "Curator Vexthor," she said aloud, "we'll need time to prepare our systems for your inspection. Some of our technology is temperamental." The Nexeri's pattern swirled with what Sarah hoped was satisfaction rather than suspicion. "You have one standard rotation. Do not attempt to call for help. We are jamming all long-range communications." As the transmission ended, Santos turned to her crew. "They may be jamming standard channels, but they don't know about our quantum entanglement communicator. Dr. Chen, get me everything you found about their technology. Lieutenant Rodriguez, start calculating FTL vectors for every possible escape route." Sarah looked back at the massive archive, now revealed as a weapon vault that had lured them in. The Nexeri had made one crucial mistake. They'd assumed humanity's ships would be built like their own. They were about to learn that humans had learned different lessons from their history of warfare. Message sent through QEC. "Captain," Maya reported quietly. "Earth Command responds. Hold position. Help is coming. The Normandy is on its way." A predatory smile crossed Santos's face. The Normandy, Earth's newest warship, specifically designed to counter advanced alien technology. The Nexeri thought they had trapped a simple research vessel. They were about to learn why humanity had survived countless extinction-level events on their homeworld. The game was just beginning. The price of knowledge. The Nexeri ships loomed in the void like circling sharks, their liquid metal hulls reflecting the crimson light of the red dwarf. Inside the Hawking's Dream, Captain Santos had turned the research vessel's recreational deck into an emergency command center, away from the bridge's potentially monitored systems. "Show me what we know," Santos ordered, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Chen's hands moved through the air, manipulating a low-power hologram showing the Nexeri fleet positions. "They're maintaining a standard containment formation," Sarah explained, pointing to the geometric pattern of alien ships. "But look here and here." She highlighted two vessels that seemed slightly out of position. "They're compensating for a blind spot in their sensor network." Dr. Stevens limped into the room, his face pale from hours of continuous neural interface with the ship's eye. "The archive data makes more sense now," he said, slumping into a chair. "It's not just weapons. It's a catalog of every species the Nexeri have harvested." Maya Patel's fingers danced across her portable quantum terminal. "Harvested? What do you mean?" "They find emerging civilizations, study their unique technological innovations, then strip them of anything useful." Stevens pulled up a series of decoded alien texts. "The archive isn't just storage. It's a trophy room." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Lieutenant Rodriguez broke the tension with a bitter laugh. "So much for peaceful first contact." A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. Captain Santos straightened her uniform. "Remember, let them think they're in control." "Dr. Chen, you've studied their language patterns. Any advice?" Sarah nodded. "Their speech is highly ritualized. They view conversation as a form of combat. Every word is a weapon or a shield." The holographic form of Curator Vexthor materialized, its geometric patterns flowing with what Sarah now recognized as anticipation. "Captain Santos, my patience grows thin. Your engineers have had sufficient time to prepare your FTL systems for inspection." Santos stepped forward, her posture deliberately submissive but her eyes sharp. "Honored Curator, we've encountered a technical issue. Our drive core's quantum stabilizers require careful calibration. Rushing the process could result in unfortunate accidents." The Curator's patterns flashed red. "You test my generosity, human. Perhaps a demonstration of our resolve is needed. One of the Nexari ships fired a precise energy beam at the Hawking's Dream stern sensor array, vaporizing it instantly. Next time, we target your life support systems. The threat hung in the air like poison. But Sarah had noticed something during the weapon's fire, a momentary fluctuation in the Nexari ship's shield harmonics. She sent the sensor data to Dr. Stevens through their neural link, watching his eyes widen as he analyzed it. "Curator," Sarah spoke up, drawing the alien's attention. "Perhaps I could share some of our preliminary findings about the archive." As a gesture of good faith, the geometric pattern swirled with interest. "Proceed." Sarah began presenting carefully selected data, boring technical details that masked the real information being gathered by the ship's passive sensors. Each time the curator's attention wavered, she would drop a tantalizing hint about human technology, keeping the alien engaged. Meanwhile, deep in the ship's secured labs, Dr. Stevens worked with the ship's AI to analyze the Nexari shields. The alien technology was impressive, but it had a critical flaw. It was designed to counter energy weapons far more advanced than humanity's current level. They never considered that a primitive species would still rely on physical projectiles. "Captain," Rodriguez whispered urgently, quantum entanglement spike detected. The Normandy just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. "They're running silent." Santos kept her expression neutral as Vexthor continued to gloat about Nexari's superiority. The alien curator had no idea that Earth's most advanced warship was about to turn their careful trap into a killing zone. "Your species shows promise," Vexthor was saying, "which is why we chose you. Your adaptability, your creative approach to technological problems. These traits make you valuable. Under Nexari guidance, you could become something greater." Sarah watched the alien's patterns, now able to read the subtle signs of deception. The Nexari didn't want to guide humanity. They wanted to dissect human innovation, understand how a supposedly primitive species have developed such unique solutions to space travel. A silent alert flashed across Sarah's neural link. The Normandy had matched velocity with a passing comet, using its ice trail to mask their approach. In 20 minutes, they would be in firing range. "Tell me, Curator," Sarah asked, carefully measuring her words, "in all your species' history of guiding others, have you ever encountered a civilization that developed along a completely different path than your own?" The alien's patterns showed confusion. All species followed the same technological progression. Energy weapons, shield harmonics, quantum drives. This is the natural order. Sarah smiled, thinking of humanity's strange path to the stars. While other races focused on energy weapons, humans had perfected rail guns and kinetic kill vehicles. While others built ever more powerful shields, humans had developed point defense systems and electronic warfare. "Natural order," Sarah repeated softly. "Interesting concept. On Earth, we have a saying, 'Nature finds a way.'" The curator's response was cut short by a proximity alarm. The Nexari ships suddenly shifted formation, their liquid metal hulls rippling with agitation. "You dare!" Vexthor's form flickered with rage. "You've summoned reinforcements." "Curator," Captain Santos said calmly, "I submit that you've made 3 critical mistakes. First, you assumed we couldn't communicate past your jamming. Second, you thought you understood human technology." She smiled. "And third, you believed we were alone out here." The Normandy emerged from the comet's tail like an avenging angel, its matte black hull absorbing nearby light. Unlike the research vessel, this was a warship built with the lessons of 1,000 wars. The real battle for the archive was about to begin, and the Nexari were about to learn why humanity's path to the stars had been so different from their own. Battle for the archive. The Normandy cut through space like a blade, its sleek form belying its deadly nature. On its bridge, Commander Alexei Volkov watched the Nexari fleet with the patience of a veteran warrior. 30 years in Earth's Space Force had taught him that superior technology didn't always mean superior tactics. All hands, combat stations, he ordered, his Russian accent thickening with anticipation. "Let's show these pirates how humans fight." The Nexari recovered quickly from their surprise. Their ships flowed into an attack formation that resembled a blooming flower, beautiful and deadly. Energy weapons charged, creating a web of targeting beams. "They're trying to lock us down in a crossfire pattern," Tactical Officer Wei Chen reported. "Classic containment strategy." Volkov's scared face creased in a smile. "Classic, yes, but they're fighting the last war." He opened a channel to the Hawking's Dream. "Captain Santos, I suggest you power down all non-essential systems. Things are about to get interesting." The Nexari struck first, their energy weapons lancing out in a coordinated barrage that would have vaporized any normal ship. But the Normandy wasn't normal. Its hull was coated with metamaterials that bent light and energy around it, developed after studying the properties of deep-sea creatures on Earth. "Minimal shield drain," Wei reported. "Their targeting algorithms can't compensate for our absorption technology." Curator Vexthor is hailing us, Communications Officer Jessica Martinez announced. The alien's holographic form appeared, its patterns chaotic with rage. "Your interference is futile. The Nexari Collective has harvested technologies from 1,000 worlds. Your primitive vessels cannot hope to." "Newt," Volkov commanded. "Weapons, deploy the Charybdis." From the Normandy's bow emerged what looked like a simple probe. The Nexari ignored it, focusing their fire on the warship. That was their second mistake. The probe split into hundreds of smaller devices, each activating a miniature gravity drive. They formed a three-dimensional web around the nearest Nexari vessel, their gravity fields beginning to resonate. "Primitive, are we?" Volkov muttered. "Execute pattern Leviathan." The Normandy fired its main gun, not an energy weapon, but a mass driver accelerating a tungsten rod to near light speed. The Nexari ship shields flared brilliantly against the impact. But the gravitational web had already done its work, creating microscopic weaknesses in their shield harmonics. The shield shattered like glass. The tungsten rod passed through the liquid metal hull, as if it were paper, emerging from the other side. The Nexari ship's beautiful form wavered, then collapsed in on itself. "First blood," Wei announced. "Their shields are calibrated for energy dispersion. They have no defense against kinetic penetrators." On the Hawking's Dream, Dr. Sarah Chen watched the battle through the research vessel's sensors. "Captain," she called to Santos, "look at their response pattern." The remaining Nexari ships were clustering together, their liquid metal hulls actually flowing into one another to create a larger vessel. "Fascinating," Sarah breathed. "They're not just mimicking biological responses. Their ships actually evolved during combat." The combined Nexari vessel was now massive, its surface writhing with weapon ports. It fired a barrage that would have cracked a small moon. The Normandy dove through the storm of energy bolts like a swimmer through waves, its metamaterial hull shedding most of the impact. "Damage to decks 4 through 6, Wei reported. "Automatic repairs engage." "Commander, they're powering up something big." The Nexari supership's center split open like a blooming flower, revealing what looked like a miniature star. "Energy readings off the scale," Wei warned. "If that hits us." "It won't," Volkov stated. He opened a channel to engineering. "Initialize the Kraken protocol." Deep in the Normandy's engine room, Chief Engineer Hiroshi Tanaka grabbed a secure handhold. "All hands, brace for gravitational distortion." The Normandy's unique drive system, reverse-engineered from studies of black holes, activated. Space itself seemed to bend around the warship. The massive energy blast from the Nexari weapon curved around them, its path distorted by the artificial gravity well. "Now," Volkov commanded. "Full spread, all tubes." The Normandy released its full complement of kinetic penetrators, each one riding its own gravity wake through the distorted space. The Nexari supership shields, still recovering from generating their energy weapon, couldn't adapt fast enough to the multiple attack vectors. Tungsten rods struck from angles that shouldn't have been possible, their impacts magnified by the gravity distortions. The liquid metal hull tried to adapt, to flow around the damage, but physics couldn't be denied. Secondary explosions chained through the massive vessel. Their power core is destabilizing, Way reported. They're trying to separate back into individual ships, but the damage is too severe. The Nexeri supership's death was spectacular. Its liquid metal form fractured like mercury dropped on glass, each droplet burning with released energy. The explosion lit up the system like a new sun. In the aftermath, Commander Volkov opened a channel to the surviving Nexeri vessels. "This is Commander Alexei Volkov of the Earth Union warship Normandy. Your leadership is gone. Your superweapon is destroyed. Now, we will discuss terms." The response came not in words but in actions. The remaining Nexeri ships, their liquid metal hulls dulled with damage, powered down their weapons. On the Hawking's Dream, Dr. Chen was already analyzing the battle data. "Captain Santos," she said excitedly, "do you realize what we just witnessed? The Nexeri built their entire civilization on copying and improving others' technology. They never learned to innovate, to think differently. They couldn't adapt to our tactics because we developed along a completely different path." Santos nodded, watching as the Normandy began securing the archive. "They forgot the most important lesson about evolution," she said. "It's not the strongest that survive, but the most adaptable." The battle was over, but its implications would echo through the galaxy. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not as primitives to be harvested, but as innovators to be reckoned with. The age of human expansion had begun. Would you like me to continue with Part 4? It will deal with the aftermath of the battle and the profound implications for both humanity and the Nexeri survivors. Echoes of victory. A week after the battle, the archive station hummed with activity. Human and Nexeri technicians worked side by side, though the latter moved with the careful precision of defeated warriors learning to become allies. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display showing the full scope of the archive's contents. The remaining Nexeri had granted them access after the battle, revealing a library of technological achievements spanning millennia. But it was what they found in the deepest layers of data that changed everything. "It was never meant to be a weapons vault," she explained to the assembled Earth Union representatives. "The original builders, they called themselves the Precursors, created this as a backup of their civilization. The Nexeri just misinterpreted its purpose." Ambassador Helena Wright, newly arrived from Earth, studied the ancient data streams. "And you're certain about this translation? The Precursors didn't want successors to their empire," Sarah continued. "They wanted inheritors to their legacy of innovation. This archive isn't just technology, it's a teaching tool." In another section of the station, Commander Volkov walked with Karl, one of the surviving Nexeri engineers. The aliens' liquid metal skin had taken on a more subdued pattern, reflecting their changed status. "Your weapons," Karl said, geometric patterns shifting with curiosity. "They should not have been so effective. Our shields were designed to withstand forces far greater than simple kinetic impacts." Volkov smiled. "That was your first mistake. Assuming simplicity equals weakness. Humanity learned long ago that the most elegant solution isn't always the most advanced one." They paused at a viewport overlooking the Normandy. Earth Union engineers were helping the Nexeri understand the principles behind human ship design, while Nexeri technicians shared their knowledge of liquid metal technology. "We believed adaptation meant taking the best parts of other species' technologies," Hurrell admitted. "But you humans, you adapt by thinking differently about the problem entirely." Back in the main archive chamber, Dr. Stevens had made another breakthrough. His neural interface connected to both human and Nexeri systems, creating a bridge between two vastly different approaches to data processing. "The archive responds to creativity," he announced to the gathered scientists. "It's not just storing information, it's learning from how we interact with it. Look at this." The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with new patterns, combining the geometric precision of Nexary design with the organic flow of human interface systems. The archive was evolving, just as its creators had intended. Captain Santos, now acting as military liaison, watched the cooperation with cautious optimism. "They're adapting quickly," she noted to Ambassador Wright. "The question is, can we trust this change?" "Perhaps trust isn't the point," the ambassador replied. "The Nexary built their civilization on absorbing others' strengths. Now they're learning there's more than one way to grow." In the station's engineering section, Chief Engineer Tanaka worked alongside Nexary technicians to understand their liquid metal technology. The aliens were fascinated by human approaches to problem solving, particularly their ability to find unconventional solutions. "Your species," one Nexary engineer observed, "you developed spaceflight without discovering quantum manipulation first. You built cities without unified field theory. You reached the stars on your own path." Tanaka nodded, hands deep in a hybrid control system they were developing. "Humans have a saying, 'Necessity is the mother of invention.' We couldn't wait to discover everything in the right order. We had to find our own way up." The implications of this cultural exchange were not lost on anyone. The Nexary had spent millennia believing there was only one path to technological advancement. Humanity had proved that innovation could take many forms. Dr. Chen found herself working late into the night, studying the precursor's original vision for the archive. "They knew this would happen," she told Captain Santos during one of their briefings. "They built this place not to preserve their own achievements, but to encourage new ones." "And the weapons?" Santos asked. "Tools, nothing more. The real treasure was always the methodology, the way they approached problems." The Nexary saw the results but missed the reasoning behind them. In Earth Union headquarters, the strategic implications were becoming clear. Humanity had gained not just advanced technology, but something far more valuable: a seat at the galactic table. The Nexary survivors, humbled by defeat but enlightened by human innovation, were becoming eager partners rather than conquered foes. Ambassador Wright summed it up best in her report to Earth. "We've discovered something the Nexary spent millennia missing. The true purpose of the archive. It's not a repository of answers, but a catalyst for questions. Not a record of achievements, but a challenge to achieve more. In proving ourselves worthy of this knowledge, we've also shown we were worthy all along." The stars seemed brighter from the archive station's observation deck, where Dr. Chen often found herself working. Each point of light represented not just a potential destination, but a new opportunity for discovery. Humanity had faced its first major galactic test, not through overwhelming force, but through the very qualities that had driven them to the stars: curiosity, adaptability, and the courage to find their own path. The age of human innovation was just beginning, and the galaxy would never be the same. A new dawn. 1 year after the Battle of the Archive, the station had transformed. What was once a hidden weapons vault now served as the first joint human Nexary Research Institute. The crystalline structure had grown, incorporating both species' architectural styles into something entirely new. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the newly constructed Grand Atrium, watching ships arrive through the transparent dome above. Unlike the militant vessels of the past, these were research ships from dozens of worlds, drawn by rumors of a revolution in technological development. "The latest results from Project Synthesis are in," Dr. Stevens announced, his neural interface now elegantly integrated with Nexary biotechnology. The combination of human quantum mechanics and Nexary liquid metal theory has yielded something unprecedented. On the massive display wall, a simulation showed a new type of spacecraft taking shape. It combined the organic flow of Nexary design with the practical functionality of human engineering, creating something neither species could have developed alone. "Beautiful, isn't it?" The voice belonged to Carl, now serving as the Nexary Chief of Innovation, a position that would have been unthinkable in their old hierarchy. Their liquid metal form rippled with patterns that Sarah had learned to recognize as excitement. We spent millennia collecting technologies, never realizing the true power lay in creating something new. Commander Volkov, recently promoted to admiral, joined them at the observation window. The Normandy was visible in the distance, its hull now incorporating patches of liquid metal that enhanced its already formidable capabilities. The Defense Council's latest report suggests we've only scratched the surface of what's possible here. In the station's core, where the original Archives crystals still pulsed with ancient knowledge, Ambassador Wright was hosting a delegation of newcomers. The Zarkax Confederation, once hostile to both humans and Nexari, had requested permission to join the research initiative. Your victory over the collective was impressive, their representative admitted, but it's what you did afterward that caught our attention. Instead of conquering, you chose to collaborate. Instead of hoarding knowledge, you shared it. That's the human way, Wright replied simply. We learn, we adapt, we grow, and we do it better together than alone. The proof of this philosophy was evident throughout the station. In the engineering labs, human and Nexari scientists worked side by side, each bringing their unique perspectives to common problems. The results were revolutionary: new forms of propulsion, communication systems that defied traditional physics, medical breakthroughs that combined human biological understanding with Nexari material science. Captain Santos, now Fleet Commander Santos, reviewed the latest security reports from her office overlooking the docking rings. The Archives location was no longer a secret, but it didn't need to be. The station's defenses now incorporated the best of both human and Nexari technology, along with innovations that emerged from their collaboration. It's not just about the technology, she explained to a group of cadets from Earth's Space Academy. It's about perspective. The Nexari taught us about the possibilities of liquid metal and quantum engineering. We taught them about thinking outside established patterns. Together, we're teaching others that there's always another way to solve a problem. In the station's historical center, Dr. Chen had created an exhibition that told the story of both species. The Nexari's past as harvesters of technology stood alongside humanity's chaotic but innovative rise to the stars. It ended with the Battle of the Archive, not as a tale of victory and defeat, but as the moment both species found a better path. The precursors would be proud, she told a gathered crowd of mixed species. They built this archive not as a museum of past achievements, but as a seed for future ones. They understood that true progress comes not from copying what came before, but from daring to try something new. High above the station, Earth Union's newest vessel prepared for its maiden voyage. The synthesis was neither purely human nor Nexarian design, but something entirely new. Its liquid metal hull contained strands of metamaterials that could adapt to any situation. Its engines combined human ingenuity with Nexari precision. Admiral Volkov watched the ship's final preparations with satisfaction. A year ago, we fought to prevent our technology from being stolen. Now we're giving it away freely, along with something far more valuable. Hope. Sarah finished his thought. We're giving them hope that there's always another way forward. The archive station, once a hidden trophy room of stolen technologies, had become a beacon of innovation. Species that once would have fought over its secrets now came to share their knowledge, to learn and grow together. The Nexari, freed from their obsession with collecting technology, had become pioneers in creative development. And humanity. They had found their true place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or victims, but as innovators and teachers. Their unique path to the stars, once seen as primitive by the Nexari, had proved to be their greatest strength. As the synthesis prepared for its first jump to FTL, carrying a crew of mixed species to explore the unknown, Dr. Chen remembered something she'd written in her first report about the archive. The greatest technology isn't the one that solves our problems, but the one that helps us think about them differently. The future was uncertain, full of challenges and mysteries. But now, humans and aliens faced it together, each contributing their unique perspectives to the greatest adventure of all, discovery. The archive pulsed with new energy, its ancient crystals reflecting the light of distant stars. Somewhere out there, perhaps the precursors were watching, satisfied that their legacy had finally found its true purpose, not as a record of what was, but as an inspiration for what could be. The age of cooperation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The end. The scattering. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the bridge of the ESS Hyperion, Earth's newest dreadnought, as the emergency alerts blared through every deck. The coalition ships had appeared from nowhere, their weapons already charged. Humanity's first contact with advanced alien civilizations wasn't going as anyone had hoped. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Admiral, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. They're attempting to lock down our drive systems. Chen's jaw tightened. The coalition had made their demands clear. Immediate surrender and technological regression, or extinction. They claimed humanity's rapid advancement threatened the stability of their carefully maintained galactic order. Earth's response had been equally clear: go to hell. Status of the evacuation fleet? Chen asked, her voice steady despite the situation. 70% of civilian ships have made the jump, Rodriguez answered. But the coalition's quantum locks are spreading. We have maybe 10 minutes before FTL travel becomes impossible in this sector. Chen nodded, her mind racing through possibilities. The coalition had proven far more advanced than Earth's intelligence suggested, but they'd made one critical mistake. They assumed humanity would play by their rules. Execute Protocol Diaspora, Chen ordered, activating ship-wide communications. All vessels, prepare for scattered jump sequence. Authorization, Chen, Alpha 70. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as the Hyperion's experimental drive core began to power up. Earth scientists had discovered something extraordinary while researching FTL travel, a way to ride the quantum wake of a collapsing drive system. It was dangerous, untested at this scale, and exactly what they needed. Coalition vessels are moving to surround us, Rodriguez reported. They're charging their primary weapons. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Let them come. Broadcast on all frequencies. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Fleet. You thought to find us primitive and unprepared. You thought we would bow before your technological superiority. Instead, you've given us exactly what we needed. A reason to spread our wings. The Hyperion's drive core reached critical levels, its energy signature becoming increasingly erratic. Coalition ships began backing away, their sensors no doubt warning them of the impending disaster. But it wasn't just a disaster, it was a door. All ships, execute jump now, Chen commanded. The Hyperion's drive collapsed in a carefully calculated sequence, creating a cascading quantum reaction that spread across the entire fleet. Coalition vessels scrambled to maintain their lock, but the effect was spreading too quickly. One by one, Earth's ships vanished. Not in their usual orderly FTL jumps, but in wild, unpredictable quantum leaps that sent them hurtling across vast distances. The Coalition's careful trap had become humanity's escape route. Drive collapse at 90%, the ship's AI reported calmly. Quantum wake expanding. Unable to predict destination coordinates. Chen gripped her command chair as reality itself seemed to bend around the Hyperion. Send final broadcast. To all scattered ships, remember who you are. Remember Earth. Grow strong in the shadows until the day we return. This isn't our surrender. It's our seeds spreading across the stars. The Hyperion vanished in a flash of quantum energy, leaving behind a very confused and increasingly concerned coalition fleet. Their reports would speak of humanity's apparent self-destruction, of a primitive species choosing extinction over submission. But humanity hadn't chosen extinction. They had chosen to scatter, to hide, to grow stronger in the dark spaces between their enemy certainties. The coalition would label Earth a quarantined war grave, convinced they'd witnessed the last gasp of a doomed species. They would spend the next century learning just how wrong they were. In the vast darkness between galaxies, the Hyperion emerged from its quantum leap. The ship's systems gradually recovered, sensors coming back online to reveal their position, and the positions of other scattered vessels, each heading in different directions, toward different galaxies. "Damage report," Chen ordered, pulling herself up from her chair. "Drive core is completely burnt out," Rodriguez reported, but that was expected. "All essential systems are functional. We're picking up quantum echoes from at least 30 other ships, all on different vectors." Chen nodded, studying the tactical display. The scattering had worked better than they'd hoped. Earth's ships were now spreading out across multiple galaxies, each carrying with them the seeds of humanity's future and their revenge. "Send one last encrypted burst to all ships we can reach," Chen ordered. Message reads, "The Coalition fought to clip our wings. Instead, they've taught us to fly. Grow strong. Stay hidden. When the time comes, we will find each other again." The message went out, carrying with it humanity's defiance and determination. The Coalition had intended to contain humanity within their own galaxy, to prevent what they saw as a dangerous expansion. Instead, they had scattered humanity's seeds across the stars, each one carrying the potential for something extraordinary. As the Hyperion's engines powered up for conventional travel, Shan allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Coalition would celebrate their victory, convinced they had dealt with the human problem. They would return to their careful political games and technological stagnation, secure in their superiority. But humanity had never been good at staying down. Each scattered ship carried with it Earth's best and brightest, along with databases of human knowledge and technology. They would find new homes, build in secret, and prepare for the day when humanity would reveal its true strength. The scattering wasn't an end. It was a beginning. Seeds of resistance. 50 years after the scattering, Dr. Maya Patel stood in her primitive laboratory on the colony world of Haven, carefully maintaining the appearance of struggling with basic particle physics. The Arcturian observer hovering over her shoulder clicked its mandibles, and what she had learned was an expression of benign condescension. "No, no, dear human," the observer, whose name translated roughly to first scholar of lesser species, chittered. "You're still thinking in terms of traditional particle interaction. The quantum realm requires a more sophisticated understanding." Maya nodded earnestly, making sure to input the wrong calculations again. "Thank you for your patience, first scholar. We're still trying to grasp these concepts." Deep beneath the colony's modest surface structures, in laboratories that would have put the Arcturians' vaunted science academies to shame, Maya's real work continued unabated. The quantum communication array was nearly complete, built piece by piece using technology that supposedly shouldn't exist for another century of human development. The Arcturians had found Haven's human colony exactly as they expected, struggling survivors of a primitive species, barely maintaining a functioning society. They never thought to look deeper, to question why these supposedly desperate refugees chose to settle on a planet rich in quantum-reactive minerals. Maya's comm unit buzzed softly, a message from Security Chief Jackson. "Arcturian survey ship entering orbit. Running Protocol Omega." Throughout the colony, hidden systems powered down. Advanced technology disappeared behind false walls, and every human prepared to play their part. The greatest advantage of being considered primitive was that no one looked too closely at your failures. "First scholar," Maya said, injecting worry into her voice. "Our power systems are fluctuating again. We may need to shut down for maintenance." The Arcturian waved a dismissive appendage, typical of your technological level. "Very well, we'll continue the lesson another time." It moved toward the exit, adding, "Though I must say, your people's persistence is admirable, if ultimately futile." Once alone, Maya activated her secure terminal, connecting to the underground command center. Colony Director James Chen, son of the legendary Admiral Chen, was waiting with the latest intelligence. "The Arcturians bought it," Maya reported. They're still convinced we're barely managing basic quantum theory. Good, James nodded, because we've just picked up something interesting. Show her, Dr. Reynolds. A holographic display materialized, showing quantum oscillation patterns. We detected these signals coming from the Andromeda galaxy, Reynolds explained. They matched the encryption protocols from Earth's pre-scattering database. Maya's heart raced. Another colony. Better, James smiled. These patterns suggest they've developed quantum entanglement communication. They're looking for us, just like we're looking for them. The implications were staggering. If other colonies had not only survived but advanced to this level, the Coalition's attempt to contain humanity had backfired spectacularly. Instead of one advancing human civilization, they had created dozens, each developing along different paths, each learning from different alien species while appearing to learn nothing at all. Status of Project Phoenix, James asked. Maya brought up the secure files. The quantum drive is nearly ready. Unlike the desperate measure used during the scattering, this one is fully controllable. We can theoretically jump between galaxies without leaving a trace. Time to completion. 3 months, Maya said. The Arcturians' latest teaching session actually helped confirm some of our theories. They're so busy showing us basic principles that they never notice when we apply those principles in ways they haven't considered. James nodded, his expression thoughtful. The Arcturians call themselves the guardians of scientific knowledge, but they've stopped advancing. They're so convinced of their superiority that they've become stagnant. Their latest survey ship carries weapons that could level our colony, Maya pointed out. Weapons they'll never use because they don't see us as a threat, James countered. They think they're watching our species' last gasp, a failed civilization barely clinging to existence. That's our real weapon, their certainty. A new alert flashed across the display. The quantum oscillations from Andromeda were becoming more complex, forming a clear pattern. Maya's decryption algorithms went to work, and soon text appeared. To all scattered children of Earth, the seeds have taken root. The darkness has given us strength. When the light returns, we will rise together. James read the message twice, then turned to his staff. Send acknowledgement using the same protocols. Add this. The Coalition fought to clip our wings, but they've given us the stars instead. We are ready. As the message was encrypted and sent, Maya looked at the stars visible through the command center's hidden viewport. Somewhere out there, humanity's other scattered seeds were growing, learning, preparing. The Coalition had meant to contain humanity within one galaxy, believing they could control humanity's development. Instead, they had given humanity the ultimate gift, the chance to learn from multiple advanced civilizations while appearing to learn nothing at all. Each colony was a hidden dagger, waiting for the moment to strike. The network awakens. Commander Aisha Rahman of the Haven Defense Force watched through her obsolete telescope as another Arcturian battlecruiser entered the system. On paper, her entire fleet consisted of 3 aging patrol ships that could barely achieve orbit. In reality, dozens of advanced vessels lay hidden in quantum pockets throughout the system, waiting for the day they would be needed. Multiple quantum signatures detected, her AI reported privately through her neural implant, but not from the Arcturians. These are coming from everywhere. Aisha straightened. After decades of careful preparation, it was finally happening. Across 3 galaxies, humanity's hidden colonies were activating their quantum networks simultaneously. The Coalition's greatest fear, an independently advancing human civilization, was about to become their worst nightmare. Status of the Arcturian sensors, she subvocalized. They're detecting the quantum activity, but attributing it to natural phenomena. Their models don't account for the possibility of coordinated quantum communications at this scale. In her command center, deep beneath Haven's surface, Aisha watched as connection points began lighting up across the galactic map. Each one represented a human colony that had not only survived but thrived in secret. The Arcturians, the Scathari, the Mercian, All the great powers of the coalition had taken in primitive human refugees, never suspecting they were hosting architects of their own downfall. "Director Chen," she called. "You'll want to see this." James Chen entered the command center, his father's old military jacket worn proudly despite its apparent age. The jacket, like everything else about Haven's leadership, was carefully chosen to project an image of fading glory, of a people desperately clinging to their past. "How many colonies are we detecting?" he asked. 47 so far, Aisha reported. "Each one apparently as primitive as we are. Each one having learned different technologies from their benevolent overseers. Each one ready." The quantum network hummed with encrypted data as 50 years of separate development began to merge. The Andromeda colonies had mastered stealth technology, while appearing to struggle with basic cloaking devices. The Triangulum settlements had decoded quantum entanglement, while asking elementary questions about particle physics, and Haven had perfected faster-than-light travel while their ships visibly limped through conventional space. Message from Admiral Chen's daughter in the Carina colony, Aisha's AI reported. "They've completed their planetary defense grid. The Sktheri believe it's a primitive meteor detection system." James smiled. "My aunt always did have a talent for misdirection." Status of Project Phoenix. "Dr. Paddle reports the quantum drive is ready," Aisha said. "We can begin coordinating with other colonies for the synchronized jump." A new alert flashed across her display. The Arcturian battlecruiser was approaching Haven's orbital space, no doubt for another routine inspection of the primitive human settlement. "Right on schedule." "Shall we maintain protocol?" Aisha asked, though she already knew the answer. "Of course," James nodded. "Let them scan their hearts out. All they'll find is exactly what they expect. A struggling colony barely worth their attention." Through her neural implant, Aisha watched as Haven's hidden systems automatically adjusted, creating false readings that perfectly matched the Arcturians' expectations. The quantum network's activities were masked by what appeared to be natural background radiation, its complex patterns dismissed as random noise by aliens who couldn't conceive of humans operating at this level. "New message coming in," her AI reported. "Multiple sources, same content. The network is complete. Phase 2 initiating." James read the message and took a deep breath. "Send acknowledgement. Add, let them sleep in their certainty. When they wake, they'll find the children of Earth have grown up." Throughout Haven's underground facilities, humans continued their work, maintaining their carefully crafted image of primitive struggle while preparing for the day when all masks would fall away. The coalition had meant to keep humanity confined and controlled. Instead, they had created something unprecedented, a species that advanced not in spite of oppression, but because of it. Each dismissive lecture from an alien scientist had revealed their technological assumptions. Each patronizing inspection had exposed their security protocols. Each primitive human colony had become a silent observer, learning not just technology, but how their superiors thought. "Incoming transmission from the Arcturian vessel," Aisha reported. "They're requesting permission to conduct their annual technological assessment." "Granted," James ordered, and informed Dr. Puddle to have her team ready with their usual questions about basic particle physics. "Let's give them exactly what they expect to see." The quantum network hummed with hidden activity as humanity's scattered children prepared for their moment of revelation. The coalition was about to learn that their greatest achievement, scattering humanity across 3 galaxies, had become their greatest mistake. Masks off. First scholar of lesser species rushed through the halls of the Arcturian High Science Council, his mandibles clicking in agitation. The data patterns made no sense. They violated everything the Arcturians knew about technological development curves. Emergency session call to order. Grand Scholar of all knowledge announced to the assembled council. First Scholar, present your findings. The holographic display activated, showing quantum activity readings from across 3 galaxies. Honorable Council, we have detected synchronized quantum fluctuations from every human settlement. The patterns suggest. He hesitated, knowing how impossible it would sound. They suggest coordinated quantum communication networks. Dismissive clicking filled the chamber. Impossible. Third scholar of primitive studies declared. The humans barely understand basic particle physics. I personally oversee their education on Haven Colony. That's just it. First scholar continued. I've analyzed the educational records from all human settlements. They've been asking the same basic questions for 50 years. Not similar questions, the exact same questions, just phrased differently. Silence fell over the council chamber as the implications sank in. Meanwhile, aboard the ESS Phoenix, Haven's first true dreadnought, hidden in quantum space, Commander Aisha Rahman received the final confirmation. All colonies report ready. The Arcturians have detected our quantum network. James Chen nodded. Right on schedule. And the other coalition powers. The Scathuri are mobilizing their fleet toward the Andromeda colonies. The Mercian have placed their settlements under lockdown. They're all reaching the same conclusion at roughly the same time. Perfect. James activated the quantum comm. This is Director Chen to all colonies. Execute Phase 3. Across 3 galaxies, humanity's facade began to crack, not in panic or desperation, but in a carefully choreographed revelation of power. Hidden shipyards emerged from quantum pockets. Defense systems activated, and in high orbit above every human settlement, advanced vessels shimmered into view. In the Arcturian Council chamber, alerts blared as sensors detected the sudden appearance of unknown ships. Multiple vessels detected above Haven. A technician reported, his color scales showing panic. Configuration unknown. Power readings. Impossible. First scholar stared at the readings in disbelief. These ships, their quantum signatures match our theoretical models for advanced drive systems. Systems we haven't even built yet. Emergency transmission from Haven Colony. Another technician announced. The holographic display shifted to show James Chen, no longer wearing his carefully aged military jacket, but a pristine uniform of obvious advanced manufacture. Greetings, honored council, James began, his tone carrying none of the subservience they were used to. On behalf of the United Human Colonies, I want to thank you for your educational support over the years. Your lectures have been most illuminating. What is the meaning of this? Grand Scholar demanded. Your technology level was exactly what you expected to see, James finished. You taught us well, not just about physics and technology, but about yourselves, about how your certainty blinds you, about how your superiority complex makes you predictable. Across the quantum network, similar scenes played out. In Andromeda, the Scathuri fleet found itself surrounded by ships using stealth technology they had thought impossible. In Triangulum, the Mercian discovered their quantum lockdown systems had been quietly neutralized decades ago. Impossible, third scholar whispered. We've monitored every development, restricted your access to advanced knowledge. You monitored what we wanted you to monitor, James replied. You restricted access to knowledge we had already gained. The coalition scattered us across 3 galaxies, thinking to contain us. Instead, you gave us the greatest gift possible, the chance to learn from multiple advanced civilizations while appearing to learn nothing at all. First scholar's analytical mind raced ahead to the implications. The quantum network, you've been sharing knowledge between colonies, each learning different technologies from different species, and combining that knowledge in ways none of you considered, James confirmed. You were so convinced of your superiority that you never questioned why we kept asking the same basic questions, why we never seemed to advance beyond a certain point. You saw what you expected to see, primitive humans struggling to grasp basic concepts. The display shifted to show similar scenes playing out across 3 galaxies, human colonies revealing their true technological level in perfect synchronization. The coalition's careful power balance, maintained for millennia, was crumbling in a matter of hours. We are not declaring war, James continued. We are declaring independence. The coalition sought to prevent humanity from advancing independently. That effort failed 50 years ago. You just didn't know it until now. First Scholar watched as more ships emerged above Haven, their design unlike anything in coalition records. They showed influence from multiple species technologies, but combined in ways that spoke of true innovation rather than mere imitation. "What are your demands?" Grand Scholar asked, color scales showing resignation. "Demands." James smiled. "We don't make demands. We're offering a choice. The coalition can recognize the United Human Colonies as equals and open genuine diplomatic relations, or," he shrugged, "you can continue to treat us as primitives. But I should warn you, we've gotten very good at exceeding expectations." Convergence. The quantum network pulsed with activity as humanity's scattered children prepared for their final act. From the bridge of the EFS Phoenix, Admiral Sarah Chen, aged but unbowed, watched the coordinates appear. After 50 years in stasis, preserved for this moment, she would finally see her plan reach fruition. "All colonies reporting ready," Commander Raman announced. "Quantum drives synchronized. The coalition fleets are maintaining their distance. They're still trying to understand how we did it," James Chen said, standing beside his mother's command chair. "How we advanced so far while appearing to advance barely at all." Sarah smiled. "They're asking the wrong question. The real question isn't how we did it. It's why they never saw it coming." The quantum network displayed status updates from across 3 galaxies. Each human colony had emerged from hiding in its own way, revealing technological capabilities that matched or exceeded their former overseers. The coalition's careful balance of power had been shattered not by force, but by revelation. "Message from Earth," Dr. Puddle reported, her hands moving across the quantum controls. "They're ready." Earth. The supposedly quarantined war grave that the coalition had declared off-limits after the scattering. They had thought they were containing a defeated species. Instead, they had given humanity the perfect cover to prepare. "Quantum signatures detected," Raman reported. "Massive energy spike from the Sol system." The tactical display lit up as Earth's hidden fleet emerged from quantum space, not refugees or survivors, but an armada that had spent 50 years preparing in plain sight, protected by the coalition's own quarantine. "Open channel to all coalition forces," Sarah ordered, "and activate the quantum beacon." The beacon's signal pulsed across space, its energy signature matching the one from 50 years ago. The same pattern that had scattered humanity's ships across 3 galaxies. But this time, it wasn't chaos. It was coordination. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Human Colonies," she broadcast. 50 years ago, the coalition sought to contain humanity within 1 galaxy. You believed our ships were destroyed in a desperate attempt to escape. You were wrong. The quantum network hummed as every human colony activated their drives simultaneously. The coalition fleets could only watch as space itself seemed to fold around the human settlements. "We didn't scatter in desperation," Sarah continued. "We scattered with purpose. Each colony learning, growing, preparing. You taught us your technologies while believing us too primitive to understand. You showed us your weaknesses while believing us too limited to exploit them." The quantum drives reached full power. In the space around each human colony, reality began to twist in familiar patterns. But most importantly, Sarah's voice carried across 3 galaxies. "You taught us that true strength lies not in technological superiority, but in unity, in adaptation, in turning apparent weakness into hidden strength." James checked the final coordinates. "All colonies report quantum alignment complete, ready for synchronized jump." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of 50 years of planning reach its culmination. "To all human colonies, execute final jump." Convergence protocol initiated. Space warped around each human settlement. The coalition fleets scrambled to respond, but their weapons passed harmlessly through quantum space as humanity's colonies vanished, not in random directions this time, but in perfect coordination. One by one, They reappeared in orbit around Earth. 47 colonies, each bringing unique technologies and knowledge gained from their time among different alien species. The scattered seeds of humanity, returning home not as refugees, but as architects of a new era. Coalition vessels are requesting communication, Raman reported, unable to hide her smile. Accept, Sarah ordered. Let them see what their attempt to contain us has created. The quantum network displayed images from Earth orbit, advanced ships of human design, incorporating technologies from across 3 galaxies, not copied, but transformed, not stolen, but evolved beyond their original concepts. The coalition sought to prevent humanity from advancing independently, Sarah broadcast. Instead, you gave us the greatest gift possible, the chance to advance in 47 different directions at once. Now, we offer you a choice. Join us in genuine cooperation, or maintain your illusion of superiority. Either way, humanity will no longer hide. As the coalition representatives began their response, Sarah looked at the tactical display showing Earth surrounded by its returned children. The scattering had been a gamble, a desperate plan to turn defeat into opportunity. But humanity had done what it did best: adapt, innovate, and turn adversity into advantage. The coalition had labeled them primitive, had tried to clip their wings. Instead, they had given humanity the stars themselves, and humanity had learned to soar.